Check 1, 2. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Megan, would you please read the statement of presiding officer?
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting, specifically the time, date, and public call-in information, were included in the meeting that was electronically sent to the Echo Sentinel and Morris Daily Record and posted on the Township website. The agenda and public handouts for this meeting can be viewed online at www.longhillnj.gov. A public comment period will be held in the order it is listed on the meeting agenda.
Okay. At this point in time, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, but before we say the pledge, I'd like to have a moment of silence in observance of 9/11 this past Monday. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Megan, would you please take the roll?
Committeeman Dorsey?
Here.
Committeeman Ray is absent. Committeeman Verleza is absent. Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Present.
Mayor Lavender?
Present. Okay. First on the agenda, I'd like to welcome Carol Praza to the podium to give us a presentation for the Historical Preservation Society Historic Sites.
Okay, Historic Preservation Advisory Committee. The society is a private club.
Yeah,
Got it. Okay.
I
My
get
name is
nervous.
I know I correct people all the time on that. My name is Carol Praza, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the Historic Preservation Advisory Committee to present the 2023 Historic Site Survey. We are a mayoral-appointed committee with responsibility for advising you and your auxiliary boards about all things historic in Long Hill Township. One of our jobs is to provide an annual report known as the Historic Site Survey. This list does not vary tremendously from year to year. Nevertheless, it is a wise decision to have the list updated annually. While all of HPAC's members contributed to the content of the list, as in the past, the heavy lifting for the document fell upon our town historian, Sam Cornish. We all have to say thank you to Sam. This year's changes include some basic housekeeping, including notations and dates on listings where township historic plaques have been awarded. Significant additions to the list include 2 homes which were originally outbuildings on what is known as the old Freeman Farm. HPAC believes that identification on historic maps qualifies these 2 homes for inclusion in the category buildings of significant value. Another addition to the 2023 list is a representative silk mill house. The Sterling Silk Mill constructed 2 series of workers' homes in the early 20th century. For several years, HPAC has been searching for a representative house to add to the site survey. Our hope was to find a house that was among the first of the series built, one that retained its original exterior architectural integrity, and that it is located in one of the more traveled streets. Hence, we were excited to identify a house on Main which met this criteria. We anticipate placing a plaque on the house before the end of the year. On a sorry note, the Old Hickory Tavern House, which was once a stop on the stagecoach line through Long Hill, had to be moved on the list from buildings of significant value to raised historic sites and buildings. Historic preservation does not mean stopping change or impeding individual homeowners' rights. With the owner's cooperation, HPAC has completed and supported significant research and documentation on the Old Hickory Tavern. On behalf of HPAC, we want to take this opportunity to thank Colette Armenti for assisting us with our updated website. With your approval, we hope to link this site survey to that website. One of our goals for 2023 is to further link our background research returning to each site where a historic plaque has been awarded. In addition, we plan to link our research for the items in the category raised sites of the past to be remembered. As always, the members of HPAC thank the Township Committee for your encouragement and support and continued preservation of our community's history. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, this is a great document. Is this available on the website?
Well, as soon as you approve it and we get to Colette, it will be.
Good. No, it's fantastic.
Thank you. As I say, a lot of hours go into that document.
I ask you this every year, and I know the answer. I'm asking so people that don't know the answer know, is that this doesn't affect the property owner's ability to do anything with the house, correct?
You are correct.
Okay.
There was some discussion 20 years ago when HPAC was established about possibly doing that, and wisely, the folks that sat behind the dais at the time rejected that idea. There are communities that indeed do. If a property is on a site, you have to go to yet another board, and they will tell you what color you can paint your house, what your window must look like, what your steps must look like, and it was decided then, in my opinion, very wisely, and everyone on our committee agrees, that that is not Long Hill Township, and that's an inappropriate use. And in many ways, particularly for these older homes in Sterling, it would discourage people from buying them. If they knew that every time they went to make a change, they'd have to go in front of another judicial board telling them what they could do and not do. So I hope that's an answer.
That's it's one, so the people at home, I know, like you said, you know,
Okay.
but I don't want people to be deterred, like, oh, if you give us a nice plaque, then all of a sudden, if I want to get a new window, it's gonna cost me 6 times the amount as would if you get somewhere else.
And that, we've heard that from the past. And what does happen when the planning board, or the Board of Adjustment, gets a notice that a change is being made on a historic property, they contact us, and we contact the homeowner and just simply ask them, and in the past, everyone has been so grateful. We offer to help them research their house, find out whatever we can about what it might have originally looked like, and then it's their choice to use it or not. But we've never met with resistance. Everyone likes our help, helping them find out what they can about their home.
Question, the columns, I see stars in event, person, construction. What is that designating? Is that the historical significance?
It's fashioned after the National Registry of Historic Homes, roughly. I mean, obviously, they have a much stiffer, I think we have 4 properties in town that qualify. A house, oh boy, this is like Historic Preservation 101, see how good my memory is. A house or a property or a site can be listed for several reasons. One might be that the architecture itself is significant. One might be that the architect is significant, Frank Lloyd Wright designed the house. In our town, we have 2 properties that very much fall into that category. One is All Saints Church, and that the architect and the architect's firm was the primary architect that designed a whole section of Princeton University, very famous architects. The second one is the Millington train station, and again, the architecture firm designed many of the iconic train stations throughout the Northeast, and has a very unique, as many of us know, we'll pass a building and say, I bet that was a train station, how they have a very unique look to them. Sort of a funny, interesting, I guess, aside, when about, I don't know, maybe it's 10 years ago now, it was time to re-roof the train station. And at the time, Dennis Sandow was on our committee, and he, in his research, noted that when the primary architect of the train station, at his death, his family gifted his records to Syracuse University. So, in an attempt to find out what that original roof looked like, Dennis got in touch with the librarians at Syracuse University, and they were able to find many blueprints of stations that were so similar to ours that it really enabled us to make a very
Accurate,
well, more,
appropriate.
more accurate guess on what that original roof looked like, and which we would have been not able to do. Another reason, there are, oh boy, tests. Another reason a house or a property might be there is that a special event happened. Another reason might be a special person lived there. One of the houses on Long Hill, when we researched, I think it's 2 years ago now, we found out that the original family that owned it, the man who never finally lived in the house because he passed away before, had been the longest seated member of the New Jersey Supreme Court at the time. So that by itself would have warranted naming the house that his widow then moved into and his children were raised. So there are different criteria that, and often, maybe it's important to say, often a property meets several. It's often a combination that a lot of different things come together, but good question.
Is a lot of that information captured in a narrative on our website or the HPAC website?
The background research, we are hoping to, well, for everyone where we put a plaque, we have all the research why it's been named.
Mhm.
And that's what our next step is. After the list is, the survey is attached, we then hope to attach the background data that we've stored. You get a copy of it every time we award a plaque, and we have a copy, so we're hoping to list all of that.
Awesome.
That's,
So Carol, thank you, and you just touched upon what I was going to ask. How does the advisory committee determine which property warrants or merits a historic plaque?
basic research, but digging through old deeds looking at old maps, digging through old deeds, newspaper articles,
But
any,
what makes one property more historic? Like, if it has a plaque, is that considered the A list?
probably not. It means that they're the ones that for one reason or another came to our attention, and we were able to do the research. Sometimes people will bring a house to our attention, and we stumble a little bit documenting it. Sometimes, a lot of times the homeowners start by sharing what they have, and there are several of us that go and spend days, literally days, in the vault in our samples, digging through old deeds and titles, and I know that's not
The
fun.
county clerk, Ann Grassi, and
It's a fun way to spend the day.
I think the county clerk and you have become good friends.
Yes, we have.
All right. Well, thank you very much. This is really good. So, in front of us, we have Resolution 23-243. And this is to,
242.
oh, 242, I'm sorry. And this is to approve the survey that we just saw. So can I have a motion to approve Resolution 23-242?
I'll gladly make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes.
Carol, if you could kindly thank the advisory committee for us, and especially Sam, as you pointed out, who put a lot of work into this, so thank you.
Okay. All right, so moving along. Next is ordinance 523-23. And this is a first reading and introduction for salary and wages. I don't know if everybody noticed our new audiovisual system here. We have Randy Barr is recuperating, but he is on the split screen. And so Randy, could you give a little bit of a gloss on what this ordinance is for?
You gotta unmute yourself.
You gotta unmute yourself, Randy.
I've been gone so long, I forgot that. The ordinance takes into consideration one change in the salary resolution. It creates a salary range for a in-house engineer. If the township should ever choose to go that route. As many of you know, we did have an in-house engineer at one point, and it was removed from the salary ordinance at one time. And when staff, Megan and I were talking about it, we thought it would be a good idea to have that position put in there in case we did want to explore the idea of an in-house engineer. This does not obligate the committee in any shape, form to hire an in-house engineer. It just provides a mechanism that we can do it if we so choose.
Okay, so it's to gain flexibility.
Correct.
Okay. Again, this is the first reading and introduction. There'd be a public hearing and a second reading, assume that we vote on this on September 27th. But can I have a motion to approve ordinance 523-23?
I have a general question first. I was just flipping through this.
Oh, sure.
No, and it says for like DPW part-time labor, what's the minimum wage? At $14 an hour now, or 13?
I think it's 13.
Oh, it is, okay, because it says
It's going
13.
up I think it's going up every year.
All right, I just wanted to make sure, so if we're gonna correct it, if it's gonna, all right, it says 13 now, it's fine.
Okay. I'm sorry, any other comments, questions? All right, so can I have a motion to approve ordinance 523-23?
So moved.
Second,
Committeeman Dorsey?
yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay, and so second reading, September 27th. Next, ordinance 521-23, second reading and adoption. This is an ordinance concerning local enforcement of the Uniform Fire Code and amending Chapter 17 of the Township Code entitled Fire Prevention. Jack, do you want to give an update on this?
Yes, Mayor, the fire prevention ordinance hasn't been amended or revised in many years. So the fire official did a very comprehensive job rewriting the ordinance. He took out some things that, like the fire marshal, which is the old title for this fire official, was in charge at fire scenes, which is not the case, so that was taken out. He also took out some things that really belong in the police regulations, police ordinance section, such as running over the fire hose or following a fire truck too closely. So this just limits itself to the duties of the Fire Prevention Bureau, which is the fire official.
So some of that extraneous stuff that was in here, do we have to go fix other things?
Yes, we are going to look at it, see what was left out that should be in the code book, and we're going to add that into the police regulations section of the code book.
Okay, and if we approve this, are we creating any legal gaps that can't be filled until we do that?
No, in fact, most of those things, not sure they've ever been a
Yeah.
problem in any
Okay.
event. But no, we'll introduce an ordinance at the next meeting.
Okay, any questions from the dais?
I spoke to Don yesterday briefly, and I wasn't, did Don, you spoke to Don this morning about this?
Yes,
Because he had some concerns, but he said he was gonna speak with you and.
we had a Zoom this morning with
All right, good.
Mayor
Yeah, we
and
talked.
Randy and
All
Don.
right, so if Don's good with this version, that's fine with me.
Yep, we're
Okay.
good.
Okay, so at this point, I'll open the public meeting. Is anybody in the courtroom have any comments?
Anything or just this item?
No, just this item. Anybody online?
If anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. Don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 521-23?
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Next, capital ordinance 522-23, second reading and adoption, providing for various improvements in and by the Township of Long Hill in the County of Morris, New Jersey, and appropriating $587,500, therefore from the Capital Improvement Fund of the Township. Randy, can you give us a quick synopsis of this one?
Certainly, this ordinance includes equipment for the police department, which includes a drone, computer server, and facility cameras, equipment and apparatus for Sterling and Millington Fire Companies. It also includes recreation improvements for tennis court, study and a replacement of the retaining wall in Canton Park, and public works equipment to include a wash recycler, replace the wood chipper, and demolition of structure on township property.
Okay, thank you. So do we have any comments or questions from the dais, Guy or Matt?
No, sir.
Okay. Anybody I'm going to open the public hearing now on this one. Does anybody have a comment on this capital ordinance?
Pamela Ogens Millington, as someone who walks Cantor Park almost every day, what are the plans for the retaining wall? Is it just structurally insecure, so you're going to firm it up, or it's the plan to get rid of the wall? I walk it every day, and I'm not an engineer. It looks okay to me, so I'm just curious what the plan is.
Okay. Randy, Ms. Odgens asked what the plan was for the retaining wall at Cantor Park.
Certainly, the retaining wall is leaning at a quite at rapid percentage, and it's creating a hazard. When we were looking at this retaining wall with the engineer, we had noticed that there were areas that there weren't proper installation of, if you will, seep holes for water to go through, and basically the wall would have to be redone so we can do the proper structure to it. So and it will last a much longer time than what it has currently. But you know, the park is about 20 years old, so you know at that time that was probably the proper way to do retaining walls. But you know, obviously they've learned a lot more in time, and but the most of the wall would have to be replaced.
Randy, can we use the same block, or we have to get all new block too?
That will be in discussion when we go to do the specs and with the engineer's expert input, whether we can use the same blocks or not. And obviously, any way we can do it where it would be the cheapest to the public, we would do. But obviously, we want to make sure foremost and first that it's safe for all the people that use that park, and especially on the soccer field.
All right, thank you.
Randy, will the landscaping be replaced or improved for that matter?
The landscaping right where that retaining wall is basically grass and a pathway.
Okay.
So there's not room, if you will, to put any plantings in between. And we also use that area for the staging for the concerts. So you really don't want to put any plantings along that retaining wall. On the side towards the Valley Road, there are plantings and so forth. But we're not doing anything with that wall. There's the retaining wall at the let me see if I get my directions straight. The west side of the soccer field.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
No other comments in the courtroom. Is there any comments online, Megan?
CA would like to speak.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just need a clarification on this capital ordinance. In February 9th, 2022, in purchasing the Eberly property, ordinance 48622 for $915,120 over the value of the property, we appropriated $450,500 from open space and $450,500 from capital improvement. The demolition was for $30,000, included at $915,000. I just want to ensure that this capital expenditure is the same amount that was appropriated in ordinance 48622, and we're not taking any monies away from DPW in their capital expenditure budget.
Randy, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, we're not taking any money away from the Public Works Capital Program. This is additional monies to that ordinance to come up with the demolition of the Eberly property in the house.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online, Megan?
If anybody else on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone there.
Okay, I will close the public hearing. Can I have a motion to approve Capital Ordinance 522-23?
So moved. Second.
Committeeman Dorsey.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia.
Yes.
Mayor Lavender.
Yes. Next.
Mayor, can we go back to ordinance 523 just for a minute? I've been corrected. The minimum wage now is $14.13. So we may want to change that range. I've been corrected by Lisa through Mr. Dorsey.
Yes.
Okay, so what,
Basically, all the $13 ones that are in there, we just have to change them to $14.13. But I think, according to Lisa, it's gonna go up again in January, but at least now it'll be accurate, because I guess even for the kids that work or the people that work
Right,
over the
course-
winter.
Yeah, of course, these are ranges, and
Yeah.
we'd have to pay the minimum wage in any event, but we may as well be on target with the
Okay.
low end.
so guide me on the mechanics of doing this.
Yeah, I think if we just have a motion to amend the introduction to increase all the $13 minimums to $14.13.
Can I make that motion?
Sure.
All right, I'll make a motion that we amend 523-23 for all the salaries that are listed beneath minimum wage, that they be corrected to minimum wage,
Yeah, which is $14.13.
which is $14.15. 13 cents.
Funny number.
Yeah. Can I have a second?
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia.
Yes.
Mayor Lavender.
Yes.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, consent agenda resolutions. First off, does anybody have a resolution they want to pull and discuss?
I thought Detective Juresi wanted to object to one of these, but I'm not sure. I heard him talking out before the meeting. Where is he? Detective Juresi, did you want to object to any of these consent agenda resolutions? Yeah, just check. I thought you heard before you wanted to object to one of them. No. All right, thank you. All right. Other than that, no.
Okay. Well, given that, can I have a motion to approve resolutions 23-243 through 23-250?
So moved. Second.
Committeeman Dorsey.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia.
Yes.
Mayor Lavender.
Yes. Okay, liaison reports.
We don't have a recreation update because we did lose internet this afternoon, so we don't have the PowerPoint that I could.
Oh,
Put up on
that's
the
fine,
next.
nor do we have the recreating township committee member.
Yes.
Just a great job, Lisa and team in recreation.
Right. Matt,
Yes.
would you like to start us off?
Yeah, the only thing I have, unfortunately, is sad news from the police liaison report is that longtime crossing guard Howard Bradley
Yeah, hold
passed
on.
away. Well, I'll continue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Howard Bradley, who was a 44-year resident, has been a crossing guard since 2008, recently passed away. He was one of the longest-serving crossing guards in the town. He crossed children at Central School and Millington School over 15 years. His daily interactions with the kids, as well as the officers and the parents, will be greatly missed. There are no memorial services for Mr. Bradley, but we like us, on behalf of the police department and the town, we'd like to thank him for his service and send our condolences to his family and friends. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Yep.
No specific liaison report, but with the remembrance of 9/11 fresh in our memories, I just want to thank all of our first responders, the outstanding police department represented this evening by Detective Garesi. Sergeant Roberts was here moments ago. I think he had to go out on to patrol. The first aid squad, our fire companies, both the Sterling and Millington Fire Companies, OEM, CERT. And I always worry when I go down a list if I forget somebody. If I did, it certainly was not intentional. I just want to thank you for the service that you provide to this town, selflessly, asking nothing in return, so we appreciate it. So on behalf of the township residents and the township committee, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Vic, are you prepared for beautification and open space?
You know what? Beautification is status quo. Open space, we're waiting on Mark to get back to us where we are as far as what uses we could have and what funding we could have for each of the available open space properties throughout town. And for rec, unfortunately, there was an internet issue here in Town Hall today, and I have a picture of my update that I can't read.
Would you like me to read it for you?
I'd be grateful.
Okay.
Do it exuberantly as Vic would.
I don't know if I can live up to those standards. All right, let's see. Aubrey Align will be offering a yoga class at the Old Millington Schoolhouse Mondays starting 9/18. Registration is online through Community Pass and closes on 9/15, so don't delay. Our Dog Days of Summer concert series continues every Thursday in September. Join us on the grass soccer field at Cantor Park for a fun family evening of music. Bring your beach chairs / blanket and a family for our free concerts and an evening out. Many thanks to our sponsors, the Long Hill Moms Club, the Watchung Hills Regional Municipal Alliance, and Hillview Farms. We will close out the series on 9/28 with a last-minute addition to the series as Crab Daddy comes back to play for us, sponsored by Hillview Farms. At this concert, we will also have a food truck available, Oink and Moo BBQ. Mark your calendars for some Halloween fun. Sunday, October 22nd, 3 p.m. at Cantor Park, we will host our annual Halloween parade. Fun for all ages and free event for all Long Hill children and their families. The Long Hill Chamber of Commerce businesses will also be at this to share in all the fun with our parade participants. Saturday, October 28th, 1:30 to 3:30, south end of Cantor Park parking lot. Trunk or treat sponsored by the Long Hill First Aid Squad. Rebel and Jagger can't wait, and they already have their costumes ready. Do you? Interested in working with Recreation Department in our basketball program? Check out the website for more details on the recreation pages and make sure you get your application in by 10/1. PSA from the Recreation Department, we'd like to remind you, everyone, of our policy on lightning. When in the parks or on the fields, if you hear thunder or see lightning, all play must stop and the fields must be evacuated. A period of not less than 30 minutes must pass with no lightning or thunder before play can resume. According to a survey by the National Lightning Safety Council from 2006-2019, 418 people were struck by lightning in the U.S. Almost 2/3 of death occurred to people who had been enjoying outdoor leisure activities. Of the field sports activities involving athletes being struck by lightning, most of the deaths were on soccer fields. Recently, our recreation department has had to pull off many kids who continue to play on the fields after the organized sporting activities have stopped. Many leave reluctantly. Sometimes the police have to be called to get them to leave and seek shelter. We've had several incidences with this in Cantor Park, so the Recreation Department would like to spotlight this and remind everyone of the dangers. And that concludes the Recreation Update.
Thank you.
So Vic,
Thank you, Megan.
Vic, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Do you know who Wally Pip is?
Wally,
Well, hold on a second. You don't know who Wally Pip is?
the baseball player? Wally Pipp? the
Yeah, but
baseball player?
specifically, who is he?
I do not know, no. What specifically should I know about Wally Pip?
He's
He
the
didn't
best.
show up to play, and Lou Gehrig took his spot and never
No,
gave
the
it
other way,
back.
yeah, okay, that's right, that's right.
Back on the field.
You've been pipped, my friend.
That's right. Megan, you have a new
I don't
unpaid
think she wants to do
role.
that.
All right, next. So I'll give two updates. First off, we met with our HR consultant today, Tom Cernicki. He gave us an update. A lot of progress, a lot of good things going on. He's working with department heads on leadership. They had I think it was an Army colonel come in and do a presentation on leadership. Talking about the values that the employees will adhere to. He's working with department heads on job descriptions and interviewing procedures. And, you know, he continues to make good progress in terms of the cultural transformation that we're looking for. So he'll continue throughout the rest of the fall, and we'll continue to get updates. Next, I had a conversation with Bob Falzerano today. He continues on his project, in the process right now of collecting a lot of granular data, working towards a draft that the committee will be able to approve or review in October. He's still on his timeline of November. I will say that a lot of the information that is going to be in this report is going to be operational police data, which will be confidential. So if there's a public presentation or discussion of what's in there, it'll have to be something that's kind of scrubbed by the PD to make sure that there's no release of sensitive information. So that's ongoing. Next, Brendan usually gives the planning board update, but Tom Jones, I see you're here. Would you, can I invite you up to give the group an update on the master plan, please? Thank you.
Tom Jones, Gillette, also a member of the planning board. So last night we gave an update, or Mr. Sandow gave an update that the planning board members have received a draft copy of the master plan. They will be looking at that over the next 2 weeks. At our next planning board meeting, we will release the planning board, the master plan to the public. There will be a copy here at Town Hall. It's also going to be put on the website. It's about 4 clicks away. You go to the Long Hill Township website, you go to government, you go to planning board, you go to master plan. Once you're inside master plan, it should be at the top, I think is where they're going to put it, and that will be the draft master plan. Then we will take public I think that, if I got my dates right, it's going to be the 28th that we'll be looking, September 28th. We'll release it to the public. 2 weeks after that will be October 10th, where we'll start with public comments, and we'll go with another 2 weeks, which will put us around I guess the 21st, 22nd, somewhere in that time frame, if we need another night of public comments. And then hopefully by November 14th, we're done with the public comments, taking that input, one last review, and then we will bring it back for final approval, and then we'll send it up to the Township Committee for adoption. I think that is the plan off the top of my head.
And the date for that would be what?
I think it's the 14th is when we send it to you, and then by December, I think before Thanksgiving, which was our last meeting in November, it should be done. If we have to go to December 12th, we go to December 12th, but the goal is to get it done in November.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. I really appreciate all the work that you've done. I know it's been a challenge herding the cats and keeping everything on track, but you're doing a marvelous job, and you'll get a Purple Heart when this is all done.
Yeah, I don't need a Purple Heart, but thanks, Mr. Mayor. And it's Don Richardson, it's Liz Lahaney, it's the entire planning board, and also the public with all their input that they've given over the years with countless back and forth discussions to get it to this point. I know we've done 2, I think, reassessments 10 years ago and 20 years ago from the '96 plan. So there's a lot of work that had to go in there. There's a lot of legacy stuff that kind of transitioned over that 20-year span. So it's a lot of deep work that went into that. So hopefully we're at a place now that we have a good vision and a good plan for the next 10 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Tom, thank you, and please thank all of your colleagues, because for reasons we've articulated here in the past, and I'm sure you have at the planning board, this is a critical document that must be completed for many reasons, so, and I know you inherited a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and if we don't get this done, we put the town at significant risk. So that is the reason why we're driving hard to make the date now. And we're kind of in the 11th hour. We're probably in the 13th hour, probably the 14th hour. So this is the last mile, and we're just nearly there. So
Yep, there's no
hopefully,
if, it will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, Randy, would you like to give the administrator's report, please?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything for this meeting.
Okay. All right. Next up, for discussion, holiday and meeting schedule.
So it's basically the potential dates for next year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, so, we're looking at dates here. Is there anything unusual that they look like dates?
February 14th.
There's no 30 seconds. February's got 28 days, right? 30 days, half November, April, June, and November. All right.
February 29th next year.
There is the 29th this year?
I think so.
In 2024, yes.
In 2024. Okay, all right, so we discussed it.
Reorg meetings.
So it'll be on the reorg.
Right?
Yes, because, New Year's Day this year falls on Wednesday, which we usually have it, it will be on Monday. Or that's for 2025, right?
Yeah, it's 2025.
Ah,
Yes.
okay, yep.
Yeah.
Now, the 17th, isn't that Martin Luther King? January? No? Oh, no, that's a Wednesday, sorry. For some reason, I thought that was a Monday. All right, very good. All right, so next. September 28th, we talked about the Crab Daddy Summer Concert Series, Oink and Moo Barbecue, Food Truck. Okay, so they're asking that, for the food truck, that we waive that temporary food establishment $30 Board of Health fee. Right, so this is our concert, bringing a food truck to it to get more people to come out. Can we waive that $30 Board of Health fee? Is there any,
Agreed.
We
I'm
just do a
fine with
motion.
waiving it.
Yeah,
do we want to make it contingent upon a beer truck being there?
There we go.
Well, I mean, come on,
I'm sure Lisa will hop on Zoom right now and make a public comment.
I'm just kidding. All right, how do we do this? Voice vote?
I would do a
voice
motion,
vote.
a second, and all in favor.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to waive the temporary food establishment $30 Board of Health fee for Oink and Moo Barbecue?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Randy, do we have any old or new business? I don't think so.
I am not aware of any.
Okay. Very quickly, some announcements. September 30th, save the date, All Saints Rummage Sale, always a very popular Saturday event in town. Please go. Next, Millington Sterling Fire Company Comedy Night at the Senior Center, September 23rd. And if Ed Gorecht has not stalked you yet to get a Mega 50/50, he's probably waiting at your house or by your car right now. And then finally, the Sterling Elktoberfest shortly after that on October 7th. Tickets available online. Any other announcements? Yes. Yeah. One other thing, September is Pediatric Cancer Month, and next meeting, we'll have a proclamation and a presentation on that. I believe Grace will be here.
Grace is coming.
Yeah. So very important and something that we deeply support. Okay, any other announcements? All right, at this point, I'll open the meeting to the public. Remarks and statements pertaining to any matter. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, if you would.
Carol Praza, Historic Preservation. My colleagues are going to tease me, I know, because I usually overstate the obvious, but I forgot the most obvious criteria for making the historic list, that the building's old. I somehow didn't mention that.
How old?
There,
What's the cutoff?
there is none. There is great debate among the experts on what that means. The federal registry, it would be older than probably our list when you think about it. For Long Hill Township, the oldest buildings tend to be a scattering of what's left of the farmhouses. And they're generally mentioned in there. There are people that used to say 100 years. There are people that argue it's only 50 years. I am not enough of an expert to get into why. I just knew that when I went back to the committee, they were going to tease me that I forgot the most obvious reason for putting a house on the list. So, thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Tamala Ogens, Millington. Comment concerns about the master plan. There were approximately 199 pages of text in the draft form of the master plan when the master plan committee, which previously included planning board members and non-planning board members, like myself, was eliminated in December of 2020. 199 pages of draft at that time. Also at that time, there were an additional approximately 21 pages of maps and tables, and there were still many maps and tables to be developed. Approximately 10% of the pages of text contain 2 columns of text per page. It is interesting to note that the Master Plan Committee, when it included planning board members and non-planning board members, met more than 40 times in 2020 to develop the new master plan. It is unrealistic to expect that the residents of Long Hill Township, it is unrealistic to expect the residents of Long Hill Township to review and evaluate a document of this size and of this importance in 2 weeks. The vision for the future of our town deserves more than 2 weeks review from the people who live here and more than 1 public comment meeting where no discussion with the public will be permitted. I am concerned that access to the draft is going to be more complicated than some members of the township would be able to navigate. 4 clicks. As I had requested before, let's make this draft as easy as possible for the residents of the township to access on the front page of the Long Hill Township website, not having to navigate through government, planning board, and the other clicks, even if it's just to have something on the front page with announcement. The draft master plan is here for your review. Here is how you can access it. I also had requested previously that an announcement be on the community board in addition to the dog training obedience classes and the tennis instruction classes. I think it's important enough to put our master plan please review residents. It's your plan. It's your vision for the future of this township. I appreciate your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Megan?
Pam.
And Tom, I think it's reasonable to put a blurb on the front page, as Ms. Hodges suggests, that links directly to the download.
I totally agree.
Yep. So, well, I think that's a great idea. We'll do that.
I'm not a fan of it being portraits, so
Yeah.
that was my position last night.
Can we position that with,
I don't see it being a conflict.
okay. Okay, we'll figure out how to do it. Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Tom Groscuff, Gillette. Why was I going to say Millington? Everybody else is, whatever.
You have a much bigger screen tonight, Tom, so you have.
My butt's showing.
Can we zoom in on Tom? Yeah, let's play with that.
Go for the Emmy tonight, come on.
I want reaction shots.
All right. First, I want to expose myself. I mean, a 20-year resident of the town, and I have never gone to Canterfield for a concert until this year. They're great. Fun, good time had by all. But it also brought up a thought for me. I know I've spoken to this esteemed committee before about perhaps over at Central Park, when it gets built out, that we could have festival events there. Looking at the map, I don't think we're ever going to get there. It's just going to be trails, and you won't have a big open field. But looking at Canterfield, there are two big fields, and I was wondering if it's possible if we could have a harvest festival, a Christmas or a holiday, whatever you want to call it, festival for getting together. Either you could sell, hot cider or knickknacks, arts and crafts, that kind of thing. Might even do it in the spring. It could be something after the Sterling Street Fair. Maybe people can mosey on over here. I don't know. Just an idea for recreation.
Motion for Tom Grosskopf to be in
Yes.
charge of the Harvest Festival
And the Christmas
Committee.
extravaganza. Yes.
You did say there would be a beer truck.
That's when you woke up, right?
I heard that.
I think they're both great ideas.
And by the way, I just walked back to what you said about across the street. There are about 8, well, depending on the DEP's mood, there's about 8 to 10 dry acres across the street. So Vic
Yes.
and the committee, we plan on doing something across the street.
In addition to just trails.
Oh, great.
We have room for some type of a field that appears in more.
Just to give you a perspective, so the property across the street, commonly called the Kerrs property, is about 73 acres. 8 to 10 of it are dry. And when we purchased the property, the plan was and remains to do something with it. The delay was, one, financial. We're in a very good position now, so we can proceed. And also access. The county would not give, and for good reason, would not provide another traffic light within distances from here and all the way over on Plainfield. So we're working on it,
Yep.
and it's in its final stages.
Yep.
So with access and the financial wherewithal to do something, we're probably going to start engaging the public as to what they might like to see there. I know what I have in my mind, but maybe Vic,
Yep.
maybe you. My wife certainly has something different than what I have in mind, so I just wanted to let you know, do not give up on that. That property will be
It's happening.
something.
It's happening.
Here, there, everywhere. This is a great town to live in.
Oh, and that property, to finish that thought, so I said it was 73 acres, 8 to 10 dry. It connects to 40 more acres that the township owns, which works its way all the way behind the Sterling Hotel. Those are wet as well. So when we kind of emphasize the trail aspect of it, do the math, you've got about 100 acres that are only trail
Yeah.
possibility.
You're
So
talking
that's
about
why
some-
we talk about trails a little bit more often. But something will be done across the street, whether it's a ball field, whether it's a band shell, whether it's, dare I say this in public, a municipal pool. I don't know. That's why we would have to
Maybe
engage.
some pickleball courts and
Pickleball as well,
Yep.
which apparently is very popular. I watched about 5 minutes of it the other night, and for pickleball fans out there, please don't write me letters and send me nasty emails. That's 5 minutes of my life I will never get back.
Enough said
Okay,
on
I'm
that
in
one.
trouble with the pickleball crowd.
Well, being that Mr.
Not now.
Pacercia burned the rest of your 3 minutes,
If I could steal another one back.
yes.
What is it you're handing us?
Something for you to see, because I'm going to talk to you real quickly. Obviously. Yes. Well, you don't want me to tell you in advance, do you?
Thank you.
I want to talk to you about something that's really close and near and dear to your heart, Guy, or should I say, Deputy Mayor Pacercia. Trees. I've been here in front of this committee and talked about trees in this town before. This is from the Echo Sentinel. This was, what, August 13th, I think we had a serious storm damage. And it seems about every other month we have storm damage. But it happens in the very wooded parts of the town, so not everybody's affected by it. So I think it behooves us to take a look at it in certain areas. Last time I spoke about this, I was told about that the I believe it's the power company comes in and once it breaks up our town into 4 different areas, and so in a 4-year cycle it gets through each part of the town to do tree trimming. That'll be second page. This is what that tree trimming information came from my recent bill. If you look at the third page, you'll see a light there, and you'll see wires coming out of it, and you'll see the trees well grown above the wires. That didn't happen within 4 years, I don't think, but I'm not an arborist. The next tree is just to show you, the next page is just to show you another tree in the very woody area of this town. This happens to be in Gillette. That's Gates Avenue. And it's a dead, dying tree. It's just off the road. It looks like it's ready to go. I don't know which storm and what name it's going to be, but that's going to come down. So let's look at the last page, and this is the most, I think this gives a good description of what I'm talking about. On the left-hand side, you see 2 dead trees, and this is on Cottage, and 2 dead trees. And I've asked the DPW about this, and I've been told that it's just out of the right-of-way, and there's nothing we can do about it. That's all well and good, but if you look at the picture to the right, you'll see those very same trees with those limbs hanging out over the cars that are parked there. Now, car damage is one thing, but if it's a kid on a bicycle, if it's a mother with a stroller, if it's anybody driving down the road and just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, these dead trees, or at least the branches that are in our airspace, we own everything that's from the street up. Is that true? Is that true, Mr. Pigeon?
No, I think the homeowner will still be responsible if the tree's out of the right of way.
Okay.
So it's not like if, I'm sorry, it's not like as if, in other words, I know if my tree grows over the property line, the neighbor would technically be responsible for cutting the limbs that are over their line, over the property line if they wanted them gone. It wouldn't be my responsibility.
They can take them down if they wish, correct.
But it's not like that in
Correct.
this situation,
That's
okay? Just wanted to
Could
point
we
of
not do
clarification.
that, or we don't or we could forego the responsibility and put it on the homeowner?
I think we can forego the responsibility to put it on the homeowner.
I guess my question is, if the homeowner doesn't take care of it, and if we don't clean it up in ordinance and say that you must do this, and the branch breaks off right above the airspace and causes somebody harm, who's responsible for it? Because I'm trying to mitigate any responsibility to the town. The homeowner is.
Right.
Okay.
If they're on the homeowner's property, then yes.
All right, but is this something that, and like the other trees I showed you earlier, is this something that we could reach out to these homeowners and say, you need to clean this mess up because this is
Danger.
perilous?
Yeah, I think we can do that.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. I don't volunteer, as somebody tried to volunteer me from the committee last time I brought this up, to drive around the town to find these trees. I won't mention your name, Guy. But perhaps DPW on their routes around town, even if the police notice it, anybody who's in and around town, or if we could put on our township website where somebody can notify us, just like you can for potholes, and say, this house has a dangerous tree problem. Because I love trees too. I love trees, but these aren't trees anymore. These are dead things that are gonna hurt somebody.
Yeah, the problem with these, I'm not a tree expert, but almost certainly these are both ash trees. And ash trees, unfortunately, when they die quickly and they become brittle and branches fall. That branch will fall,
For
guaranteed.
sure. There's
Because-
a lot of this throughout
Yep.
town, by the way. A lot of it. I notice when I'm walking, there's a lot of it. Another
So-
danger, I'm sorry. Another danger, I recently removed an ash tree from my property that looked, it was struggling a bit, so was gonna have it trimmed, but the arborist recommended I take it down. But reluctantly, I did so, but lucky I did, because even though it looked relatively healthy, when it was cut down, about 30% of it was eaten away by the ash borers. It would have come down. So
It's an
there's
unfortunate
something that
fact
has
of
to
life.
be done, unfortunately. It's a
Yeah, I
dangerous
mean,
situation.
Megan, you'll be receiving an email from my wife just to say we're going to cut down 2 dead ashes.
And
So-
you know when those trees fall? Aside from a storm? Like when you're planning to have a party about an hour before. That's exactly when that's gonna happen. Not that we want it to happen at all.
So, Randy, you there?
Yep,
Yeah,
I'm here.
right. So you and I were on a dialogue with a resident over on River Road this week.
Yep.
About 2 dead trees and, threatening power lines and stuff like that. And so, it's very difficult for residents to get some of this stuff taken care of, especially when it is in the right of way. And so, Randy and I are working on this to figure out a solution, for those situations where we can kind of expedite this and not have residents get the runaround from the utilities that maybe say, well, it's not our fault, it's Verizon, and Verizon says it's not ours, it's JCP, right? So, we're working through that, and hopefully that may lead to something more programmatic, perhaps, where we can involve DPW and do a better job of policing this.
Mayor, I do see that the Shade Tree Commission does have the power to require the removal of any tree or part thereof dangerous to public safety. So I think
Right.
I think the Shade Tree Commission could in fact
Right,
demand that they remove it.
and maybe what we need to kind of think through is some sort of a form on our website to report dangerous trees and locations, and a procedure, maybe, get some fluorescent ribbon and put it around it, maybe that could be available at the DP, right? We've got to think of some sort of process
Agreed.
Something
to do
needs
this,
to be-
because it is a problem, and
Yes.
it's a problem on all our streets.
But I think the Shade Tree Commission could reach out to that homeowner or homeowners and demand they remove
And-
those unsafe trees.
And trust me, I don't know the homeowner, and I'm not trying to rat out any one particular property, but this just happened
Yeah,
to be a good example.
They're not unique.
Exactly. So,
Okay, all right,
I'm not gonna
thanks.
say the number of that house, you can see it, but,
Thanks, Tom.
yeah, thank you very much. And if there's anything you
Thank
can do to,
And,
or any
and Tom, thank
comment.
you. There are 2 points. You've got trees like this on private property which have nothing to do with wires, it has nothing to do with the utilities.
Yeah.
Conversely, JCP&L has always been proactive, and Shane just reached out to me, and she's 100% right. What we had done in the past is engage JCP&L. Any tree that looked like this that was next to a power line, they would come and address. I just saw one across the street from your house.
Yep.
I was there.
Yep.
So, for residents that are listening, if you have any trees that look like they're dead or dying, that if they fall will affect the wires, you can let the town know, if you want to contact JCP&L directly, you can, but we'd be happy to
Right, work with you and
work with
JCP&L.
JCP&L and engage them to come out.
Right, but, and this is where a lot of folks don't know how to do that. And I think it starts by calling town hall and getting to the administrator's office.
As you point out, the tree I showed on Gates Avenue, which is tall and thin and got nothing on it, but it's on the opposite side of the street
Yes.
from the power lines. But when it goes down, it's gonna take the whole area out.
That's an
That
example
counts.
of one that could be
Yes.
addressed by JCP&L.
Okay, all right, very good.
I
Well,
could hear
let's-
them balking, but
Yeah,
No, I don't think they will.
that would be
right.
great.
It costs them more to come out and fix the wires, once it takes out the pole and the wire than it does to cut down the tree. JCP&O was very responsive whenever we reached out to them in the past. So we'll take care of that part. And as you said, we can work with the homeowner through the Shade Tree Commission regarding trees like those.
Very good.
Fantastic.
All right,
Thank you
let's
very
move
much for your
forward.
time.
Thank you, Tom.
And we'll get back to you when the Harvest Festival Committee will form.
Absolutely. Pumpkin squash.
All right, anybody else in the courtroom have a comment? If not, we will go to Zoom.
If anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. CA has his hand raised.
Go ahead.
Charles Arenowitz, Millington. I wanted to support what Pam Ogden said in her prior comments. We've waited 10 years, but more importantly, we're actually waiting 30 years. The prior comments, we've had 2 re-examinations of the master plan prior to this one. So we, the public, have been waiting 30 years. We get to see it now on September 26th, and then we have to give our comments back on October 10th. Comments. There will be no interaction with the planning board, no explanation, no rationale when we got questions. We just make a comment, they write it down, and decide for us what should be in our master plan. I think the comments portion, open discussion, needs to be revised so after 30 years, we can reset the direction for Long Hill Township and not just make a comment. Please make changes to our approach on how this 30-year in waiting master plan is going to be reviewed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on Zoom, Megan?
FL would like to speak.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Frank Liberato, Heritage Road. Just wanted to ask a question, Mayor, or if any committee members could give us an update on, with all the rain that we've had recently over the past couple of months, if there's any updates on any progress with plans to deal with any kind of flood mitigation, whether it's with local, state, or federal partners, if there's any update on anything pertaining to that.
So in terms of assessing immediate risk for any rain event, Frank, when we go through a period of extreme precipitation, we're constantly reviewing the USGIS stream flow conditions for the Millington River. As you're probably aware, there's a gauge at the Millington Gorge. And so
Yes.
their website provides forecasts as to how that level is expected to rise during and post-storm. And usually the effect that we see, or the historical effect is after the rain stop a couple days later, all the upstream water, causes the river to rise. Now, there's a few times this year where we felt that it wasn't an emergency, but it was close enough to warrant close observation. And so, that's a personal task of mine, along with Joe Huber, our OEM director, and the rest of the committee. So you can be assured that, we've got eyes on that as these things unfold. I've personally gone out and taken videos and photos of the drains and have identified certain areas where there might be obstructions. Secondly, we periodically, and even again most recently, ensured that processes at the police station, which it's at risk, have been followed in terms of maintenance and the inflatable dams and the backflow preventer, that all those areas are in working order. And earlier this year, DPW Director Al Gallo reviewed his processes and procedures for flood readiness precautions and emergency measures. And so, you know, we feel as if the town's on top of what it needs to do. Now, to pivot to where your question is, where are we at in terms of getting outside help for this? I'll turn it over to Guy for a second. Guy, if you wouldn't mind
Well, I mean, there's nothing,
commenting.
Mr. Mayor, there's nothing specific to say. That's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
I won't say negotiating, but it's engaging both the Army Corps of Engineers and the federal government in terms of funding.
State
Yeah.
also, correct?
Let's
Or
say
no?
that again?
We're not working with the state at all? I
It's not
thought.
clear yet. It's not
Okay.
clear if we will have to.
Okay.
You know, the proposal from 15 years back didn't involve the state and the federal government. I'm hopeful that we won't need the state. That would remove one aspect of the process.
Got it.
But our engineer has said, after consultation with the Army Corps, it's unlikely that the proposed solution will change much from what it was 15 years ago. So it'll come down to funding.
Okay, and then Randy, if you wouldn't mind commenting, I know you've been involved in some of the stormwater regulations and, you know, any of the current events that we're dealing with there.
Yeah, we are currently reviewing our inspection with the EPA, or actually not reviewing, we have a corrective action plan with the EPA results of what they have done as far as stormwater inspections. And we're working on mitigating any of those concerns that the EPA and DEP have had. There's a timetable between 90 days and approximately 180 days of different areas that we need to correct these actions with. So we're currently doing that, and we are having updated meetings about every week and a half.
Right, and so along those lines, you know, there's certain physical improvements that were recommended at the DPW in terms of encapsulating or, you know, having fail-safe containment of some of the materials that we have down there. But then, you know, the majority of the improvements were just new processes and procedures to adhere to, you know, ever-strengthening, you know, stormwater regs in terms of, you know, maintenance records and things and procedures that are documented, things of that sort. So
Absolutely, like documenting out where the outfalls are, documenting cleaning of the inlets, or plans for storm water need to be updated and reviewed on a yearly basis. So all that is being worked on currently, and you'll be seeing some stuff probably late October, early November.
right, and along those lines too, and it wasn't related to this audit, but you know, this is something that we've been working on since the spring. There was a stormwater culvert that we found blocked on Morristown Road over by Madison, leading out in front of the pump station that's down there, and so DPW's in the process of getting that cleared out. So
Correct.
anyway, Frank, that's kind of like a potpourri of everything stormwater. Hope that helps.
Yes, no, thank you. I appreciate the in-depth answer. The only other item related to that, which I'd like to get your thoughts on, is during Chief Alzarano's tenure as chief, and he was also OEM coordinator, I believe, if I remember correctly, in the late 80s, early 90s. The OEM used to have a high water vehicle, like a 2.5 ton type, you know, surplus vehicle that could be used for water rescue in the event, you know, when you get areas that are flooded. And our traditional emergency vehicles, especially now with the electronics on the vehicles, really can't go into any kind of deep water. You know, I know, for instance, in Kenilworth, where my company is, they've picked up several military vehicles are just at the transportation costs from the government, and their OEM can use to transport people in the event, God forbid, we do get severe flooding that, that's happened over the many years of this town. I just didn't know if that was on the radar for something to add to your OEM portfolio.
Yeah, I thought we had vehicles like that. Matt, is that?
We have 2 Hummers, and I don't know if Gary, I think we authorized some kind of ordinance to allow them to
Yeah.
pursue any other military surplus, such as those larger troop transport trucks like other towns have.
Yeah.
So I think Gary Bauer usually works on that, but I can't be 100% sure.
Yeah,
But the Hummers, as far as I know, they're in working order, so we use them.
right. But-
Maybe you could speak with Bob
Well,
and incorporate that into
Yeah,
his
yeah.
report.
Yeah, but, Frank, it's smart to relook at it, right? So we can give a better answer.
Yes, that's all. I just figured I'd suggest it because there's something we had done in the past that had worked well, and maybe something to go back and revisit. But thank you for your time.
All right, thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Anybody else online, Megan?
Anybody else on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone there.
Okay, I'm going to close public comment, and I think at this time, I need to ask for a motion to adjourn to executive
With no
No.
further action.
with no further action.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you to the public for being here this evening and virtually.